The silence of the early morning in Umidike village was shattered by a loud, piercing scream. "You think you can cheat me and go free, Nwankwo? Not while I am alive." The voice belonged to none other than Adanma, a woman known throughout the village for her fiery temper and willingness to engage in every conflict, whether it was her own or not. Adanma had grown up in Umidike, a small village surrounded by lush forests and rolling hills. From a young age, she had been different. While other children played peacefully, she would always find herself in the middle of every quarrel, fists clenched and ready to fight. As she grew older, her confrontations only became more intense. That morning, the market square was buzzing with people setting up their stalls. Adanma stormed into the square, her face contorted with anger. Nwankwo, the village carpenter, had allegedly sold her a defective chair, and she was not about to let it go. "Nwankwo, you cheat. You sold me a chair that broke the moment I sat on it. Do you think I am a fool?" Adanma yelled, her voice echoing through the square. Nwankwo, a man in his late 50s with a calm demeanor, tried to placate her. "Adanma, please calm down. Let's discuss this reasonably. I can fix the chair for you." "Fix it? Fix it? You should give me a new one." Adanma's rage was uncontainable. As the crowd gathered, some shook their heads, while others whispered among themselves. Everyone in Umidike had a story about Adanma's fiery temper. She was a woman who fought every battle, even those that weren't hers to fight. Adanma's reputation was well earned. She had no tolerance for injustice, whether it was a quarrel over land, a dispute at the market, or a fight between children. If she felt someone was being wronged, she would jump in, fists flying and words sharp as knives. There was the time she fought Okechukwu, the village butcher, for allegedly selling her mother bad meat. Or when she intervened in a quarrel between two families over a goat, nearly coming to blows with both sides. Adanma had become both feared and respected, her fiery nature a force to be reckoned with. One afternoon, Adanma's friend, Nkechi, came running to her house, tears streaming down her face. "Adanma, you have to help me. Chijioke is trying to take my father's land." Adanma's eyes blazed with anger. "He will not succeed. Let's go." They marched to Chijioke's house, Adanma leading the way with her usual determination. Chijioke, a wealthy landowner, was known for his arrogance and ruthlessness. "Chijioke, come out here and face me," Adanma bellowed, pounding on his door. Chijioke emerged, his face darkening as he saw who it was. "What is the meaning of this, Adanma? You think you can steal from Kechi's family and get away with it? Over my dead body?" Adanma shouted. "Mind your own business, woman," Chijioke sneered. Adanma stepped closer, her voice low and dangerous. "This is my business now. You will not take that land, or you will answer to me." The confrontation ended with Chijioke backing down, unwilling to face Adanma's wrath. But the encounter only fueled her reputation as the village scourge, a woman who took on every fight. Adanma's relentless nature began to take its toll. She was always on edge, her life consumed by one battle after another. Her family worried about her, but she brushed off their concerns. "Adanma, you need to be careful," her mother, Mama Adanma, warned one evening. "Not everyone will back down so easily." "Mother, I cannot stand by and watch injustice. I have to fight," Adanma replied, her voice firm. But at what cost, my daughter? You are alienating yourself from the village, Mama Adanma said softly. Adanma looked away, her jaw set. She couldn't let go of her need to confront wrongs, no matter the cost. One day, she overheard a group of women gossiping about her. Adanma is a troublemaker. She fights everyone's battles as if they are her own. She will meet her match one day, another woman added. Adanma's blood boiled. She confronted the woman, her anger erupting like a volcano. If any of you have a problem with me, say it to my face. The women scattered, leaving Adanma standing alone, her chest heaving with rage. She couldn't understand why they didn't see that she was fighting for them, for their justice. The turning point came when Adanma involved herself in a particularly heated dispute between two powerful families. The Okafors and the Izes had been feuding for years over a piece of land. The tension between them had escalated to a breaking point, and Adanma decided to step in. Adanma, please stay out of this, her brother, Uchenna, pleaded. This is not your fight. Every fight against injustice is my fight, Adanma snapped. The confrontation took place in the village square, with both families present. Adanma stood between them, trying to mediate, but her approach was as aggressive as ever. You Okafors have no right to that land. It belongs to the Izes by right, she shouted. Stay out of this, Adanma, Chief Okafor warned. This is a family matter. Adanma ignored him. I will not stand by and watch you steal what is not yours. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. Insults were hurled, threats made, and before long, the conflict turned physical. Adanma found herself in the middle of a brawl, struggling to hold her ground. In the chaos, she didn't notice Chief Okafor's son, Obinna, approaching with a stick. Before she could react, he struck her hard on the head, sending her sprawling to the ground. Blood poured from the wound, and the crowd gasped in horror. Adanma! Nkechi screamed, rushing to her friend's side. Adanma lay on the ground, barely conscious, her vision blurring. As the world around her faded, she could hear the shouts and cries of the villagers. The fight she had started was tearing the village apart. Adanma woke up in her bed, her head throbbing with pain. Her mother sat by her side, tears in her eyes. Thank the gods you are awake, Mama Adanma whispered. What happened? Adanma asked, her voice weak. You were hurt, my daughter. Hurt badly, her mother replied. Adanma tried to sit up but winced in pain. The fight is over. The village is in chaos because of it, Mama Adanma said, her voice trembling. You must stop this, Adanma. You cannot fight everyone's battles. Adanma's heart ached. She had always believed she was doing the right thing, but now she saw the damage her actions had caused. The village was divided, and she was to blame. Days turned into weeks as Adanma recovered. She stayed away from the village square, avoiding any conflict. The once vibrant, fiery woman was now a shadow of her former self, her spirit broken. One evening, Nkechi visited her. Adanma, I miss you. The village misses you. Adanma looked away. I cannot go back, Nkechi. I have caused too much harm. But you were trying to help, Nkechi said softly. And look where it got me, Adanma replied bitterly. As time passed, Adanma tried to rebuild her life, but the villagers' view of her had changed. She was no longer seen as a defender of justice, but as a troublemaker who had brought chaos to Umudike. The isolation weighed heavily on her, and she struggled with her identity and purpose. One stormy night, a fire broke out in the village. The flames spread quickly, threatening to engulf several homes. The villagers scrambled to put out the fire, but it was clear they needed help. Adanma, despite her weakened state, rushed to the scene. She couldn't stand by and watch her village burn. Ignoring her pain, she joined the efforts to extinguish the flames, directing people and helping wherever she could. In the midst of the chaos, a cry for help rang out. A child was trapped in one of the burning houses. Without hesitation, Adanma plunged into the inferno, determined to save the child. The heat was unbearable, the smoke choking her lungs, but Adanma pressed on. She found the child, a little girl, huddled in a corner, terrified. "Come with me," Adanma said, her voice firm despite the fear gripping her heart. She lifted the child and made her way back through the flames. Just as she reached the door, the ceiling began to collapse. With a final burst of strength, Adanma pushed the child to safety, shielding her with her own body. The villagers watched in horror as the house collapsed, trapping Adanma inside. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't reach her in time. The fire was eventually extinguished, but it was too late for Adanma. Her sacrifice, however, was not in vain. The child she saved was unharmed, and the villagers were left in awe of Adanma's bravery. In her final act, she had redeemed herself, proving that her fierce spirit was driven by a deep love for her people. The village mourned her loss, realizing too late the true depth of her character. Adanma was given a hero's burial, her story becoming a legend in Umudike. She had fought many battles in her life, but in the end, it was her final fight that defined her legacy. As the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow on Adanma's resting place, the villagers gathered to pay their respects. They had lost a fierce warrior, but her spirit would live on, a reminder of the power of courage, sacrifice, and an unyielding will to fight for what is right.